Hello everyone, what is going on? Raven here. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a man named Kraig Kahler with you all today. Now, what did James do? Let's get into that. First, he had a beautiful wife named Karen. They were married for a very long time, well over 10 years. They had 3 children. 18-year-old Emily, 16-year-old Lauren, and 10-year-old Sean. Those 3 names. Beautiful names. Happy marriage, happy life, right? Well, things started to go astray when it said that James started to become very controlling, borderline abusive, things of that nature. He would micromanage everything that his wife and everyone did. And it is said that he told his wife that he expected to be pleasured at the same time every night in bed. And if that didn't happen, he would abuse his wife. Now, I don't know specifically what happened with this. I don't know for sure what kind of abuse would have happened or what kind of punishment she would have gotten, but that is just what is said, okay? So, the wife met someone, a woman named Sunny. And at first, they were just friends, hang out all the time. But then Karen started to fall for Sunny. They started to develop a romantic, emotional relationship together. Well, and at first, that was fine with James. He had no problem with his wife Karen seeing a woman named Sunny because he was expecting to be part of the fun. Well, Karen started to avoid and ignore James. That didn't sit too well, so they moved away. And he got even worse. More controlling, it is said more abusive. He just got worse and worse. So, Karen divorced James, took the 3 children, and went back to the location where Sunny lived and would be seeing her full time. Now, this enraged James. Now, he used to work for the city, okay? He had a city job, very well respected city job. And when Karen left, his performance fell so low that he had to leave the job. This enraged him to the point of no return. Now, they got divorced in January of 2009. Remember that date. Because later that same year, on the date of November 28th, 2009, Karen, Emily, Lauren, and Sean went to go visit Karen's grandmother named Dorothy Wright to have a weekend of Thanksgiving celebration. James knew where they were. He barged into the house with a gun, and he shot them all, except his son Sean. Now, I don't know why he kept his son alive. Maybe he thought, oh, this isn't a boy. He's not going to do the same thing that my wife is, that my daughter, because apparently his daughters supported their mom's decision. Well, obviously, they had to have seen the abuse to support the decision, right? And they actually, the poor victims, called 911 as he was shooting them. So the poor 911 operator had to listen to the guns, had to listen to the screaming, while police were sent to that house. When the detective got there, he said it was such a gruesome sight to see. Grandmother breathing, but bleeding heavily. Karen murdered, laying face up on the ground, dead. 18-year-old Emily murdered brutally. Lauren breathing and alive. Lauren was actually the one that said, "My dad shot me." my dad James, or Kraig, I think he went by Kraig. She said, Kraig, my dad shot me. And then she died, not long after saying that it was her father that shot her. Well, they found James/Kraig down the street, across the street at a neighbor's house. Wherever he was, they found him. The same day or the next day, they arrested him. Dorothy made it to the hospital, but died there. The poor Karen's grandmother was able to survive to the hospital, but died in hospital care. Lauren died before she even made it to the hospital, so she didn't even get to attempt to have care. Emily and Karen never got care. They just bled to death in the floor of grandmother Dorothy's house. But he kept his son alive, which was probably a mistake on his part. Because what did Sean do? Sean was a vital part of the prosecution against his father. And you know what James Kraig Kahler said to his parents on one of the very last times he could talk to them? He said, and I quote, "Take care of Sean so he's not raised by a bunch of freaks." You murdered your wife, your ex-wife, and your 2 teenage daughters, and your wife's grandmother. What? How can you say so your son's not raised by a bunch of freaks? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I don't know what that means. I don't think anyone will really know what that means. That was a horrible Thanksgiving weekend for that family. For Dorothy Wright's family. Karen's sister. The rest of their family. Emily and Lauren's families. The only one that has to deal with the horrible aftermath of watching his family die is Sean. The poor, innocent young man who watched his father brutally murder his mother, his sisters, and his great-grandmother. That was a horrible thing to have happen. I can't even imagine having to go through this. Now, I will say this. The jury recommended the death penalty for him. But Sean, who was 12 at the time that, this was going to happen, this is what he said. And I quote, Sean said, "I do not want my dad to receive the death penalty because it would be hard on my grandparents." And he also said, "I do not want my whole family gone." Unfortunately, they are. Your father's never going to get out of prison. I mean, he shouldn't, anyway. The only family you really have left are your mother's parents, if they're still alive, and your father's parents. And obviously aunts and uncles, cousins, things of that. So your whole family is not gone. But the main living daily loved ones are. Now I should also say this. Lauren, if you don't remember her, I mentioned her. She was a 16-year-old that survived. Outed her father as a shooter. Another thing she also told the deputy that was there with her, she said, "I don't want to die." This is heartbreaking. This is absolutely a heartbreaking thing to read. I just can't believe that this man would go so far. Now, during the trial, they did share stories of abuse, like I said earlier. Of course, Kraig Kahler's defense team, they began calling witnesses, and they would all say, of course, oh, he didn't abuse his family. There was no physical signs of abuse. Why would they show? Why would he allow the bruises to be physically seen? Sonny also testified at Kraig's murder trial. Sean testifies against him. He is charged with capital murder. Capital murder. Karen's brother and his wife sat in the second row benches during this hearing. They rarely looked at Kraig, or James, whatever we're calling him. What do you guys think of this story? If you do want to read information, I do have information on the case linked in the description. Go take a look. I also originally heard about this story, I believe it was on Tubi, if I remember correctly. Or it was on, actually I think it was on YouTube. If I can find the original video that I heard about this story, I will link that video as well. This is horrible. This man could have easily just left the state, that he could have moved on. But instead he chose to murder his entire family except for his son. Let me know what you guys think of his fate in the comment section down below. Now obviously, he didn't murder as many people as John Wayne Gacy or Jeffrey Dahmer. People who I've made videos about in the past. But this man murdered his entire family in cold blood, except for his son. And he told his parents to raise him so he would not be raised by a bunch of freaks. Because at the time, his wife's family were taking care of Sean. So I don't know why they switched custody to his parents. I don't think they should have. I think to make him more mad while he sits and rots in jail and prison, he should have the knowledge that Sean's mother's family is raising James Kraig Kahler's son. Justice. And I will see you all in the very next video. Bye.